Alright, so this is my 1995 VS Commodore Station wagon. Now, I've had this car for about 7 years and I've always had a lot of compliments on it. I'd usually try and keep it pretty tidy. But yeah, as it is a 28-year-old car now, it's sort of starting to deteriorate pretty badly. So I'm trying to just step it up a little bit each time as I go through the detailing processes. And yeah, this is my most recent iteration of it. So before I start the buffing on this car, I'm going to show you guys a little bit of what I've done before that. This car's been sitting around for a while, so it had a lot of contaminants and shit stuck in the paint. So yeah, it really needed a good clay bar over the whole car, which is fantastic fun. There's been a few things that I've pulled off.
My cock.
Like trims and stuff. This guard on this side I wanted to adjust a little bit. I want to adjust the front bar a little bit more. Just a few little pet peeve kind of things that are annoying me.
Nothing wrong with me.
So I'm going to do them before I start the polishing, and then I'll mask up the car and I'll run through that process as well. So this footage you see here, this is before I've run over the car with a clay bar. And the car had a lot of contaminants stuck in the paint, like grinding dust, because it's been parked near the sheds, that kind of thing, which is what you'll be able to hear in this clip right here. And on top of that grinding dust and stuff that was all stuck in the paint, there was also a little bit of overspray, that kind of stuff. So I ran over at the Maguire's clay bar, and that's how it's come up. Now, I'm not really a big detailer, but I think with the clay bar, the theory of it is to go through it, like wash it, hand wash it kind of thing, clay bar it and then wash it again, which is what I did on this one. So referring back to the video, as you can see, the car's starting to get a little bit of gloss back in it. And a lot of that is because I've gotten rid of that top layer of scummy grinding dust and overspray, that kind of thing. So after that's done, it's now ready for a polish. So another one of my little jobs is I'm going to be cleaning up these plastic guard liners. Now this one I've basically just given it a bit of a washout, and this is how it will finish up. So here's that as a bit of a comparison. This is obviously a lot nicer. But what I'll do is I've got my heat gun, and I won't show you doing the whole thing, but just run you through the process of it. Now that'll be fucking hot at the moment, so I'm not going to touch it, but you can definitely see the difference between this part here and this part up here. And to bring it up to this nice finish again, I'll spray some of this pure wax vinyl touch on it, give it a quick wipe over the microfiber, and yeah, that should be good for another, I don't know, 20 years or so. So I'm getting into the polishing now. As you can see, I've masked up the car. I've masked up the things that I don't want to get cutting compound stuck in behind or stuck in, which can make it difficult to clean. And this driver's side door actually has some clear coat peeling off of it, which I want to stay away from, but I also want to make it look a little bit better. So I'll show you how that comes up a little bit later in the video. So getting stuck into the polishing now, I'm using the 3D ACA two-stage system. I decided because of the age of this paint, I wasn't going to use the lamb's wool on the car. I was just going to use the foam pads, which this one I'm using the maroon foam pad. Now it does cut a little bit slower, but it's also a little bit more gentler on the paint, which is what I was really after with this one. Now for some areas like these, because I don't have a mini polisher, I've just gotten a little bit of a cutting compound on a rag, and that cleans up those areas well enough. But as you can see, for mostly 28-year-old paint, it's come up pretty well. Of course, this is just the first stage of cutting it back. There's a bit of a before and after on the guard. And yeah, it's not too bad. Obviously, yeah, it's still got a few issues, but it's not too bad. So step 2 with the ACA 520, basically the same thing, buffing over the whole car, but instead I use a black pad instead of the maroon pad. And now it's time to unmask the car, as you can see. Now the mirrors and the B-pillar trims are plastic on these cars. They're unpainted because this one's an executive. So I've just given them a little bit of a hand polish with the stage 1 or step 1, whatever, of the ACA polish. And then I've gone over the whole car with the final touch, just like that. So spray it on, wipe it off with a nice microfiber, and it looks pretty good after that. Now it's probably not necessary, but I found it did make a little bit of a difference. I ended up going over it with a waterless wash in the pure wax, and it cleaned it up just that little bit more, and hey, I was pretty happy with the outcome of it for how old the car is and how shit the paint was to start off with. There's a good shot of that door. As you can see, it's not perfect, but it's certainly better than what it was. What you can't see in the video is the car does have little spots in it from where the grinding dust has actually bitten into the paint and made little indentations on it, but for how glossy it is, you can't really see it unless you look really, really close in the paint, which is good enough for me and what I want to do with the car, so I'm happy with it. Alright, now if I was a little bit smarter, I probably would have done this before I started the polishing and cleaning up, but I decided that I would clean up and paint under the wheel arches, that kind of stuff. Basically give everything a nice good clean underneath. Just make it a little bit more presentable than what it was, because obviously it's all covered in road grime and shit. There's a good shot of what's actually fallen off some of the car. A lot of the steering and suspension and the diff and stuff, it's all been replaced. Obviously the car's got new trailing arms, that kind of stuff. It's looking a little bit old, looking a bit dated, just because it's basically I've used the car. So I decided I'd give that all a good clean up. So I gave it a good degrease, gave it a bit of a wash out, bit of a scrub. Now keen eye will spot that the boot off the strut's fallen off. Now they are an absolute bastard, because basically that's a straight out job. So I ended up just chopping the top ring off and slipping it up over the outside of the strut and cable tying it, which, hey, it's fixed it now, so that doesn't look so ugly. So because I gave the inner guards a bit of a clean up, I decided I'd pop the clips out of this fella and give that one a bit of a clean up, bit of a heat gun treatment as well. And hey, as you can see, for a little bit of work, that one came up pretty good. Probably should have painted the bottom half of the rad spot though, looking back on it. Now, if you VS Commodore aficionados, you would know that these are supposed to have the square indicators because this is a Series 1. So I decided I would chuck some of them in just for something a little bit different. And hey, I kind of like the look now. So another common fault with these cars is the windscreen washer bottle. They like to fall to pieces, they go all brittle and shit. So my remedy for that one was I cleaned up the broken area in the side of this one, filed it all out, give it a bit of a sand up just to clean it all up. Coating around the broken area with some aerolite, and I've got my extra piece that I've cut out of another one. I actually heat gunned it into a bit more of a better shape because obviously I couldn't get this same corner out of a good one to fix my broken one. So a bit of an aerolite restoration on that one. It fixed it, so I'm happy with that. It just looks a little bit ugly. Call it double strength. Now I don't show it in the video, but I actually did this process twice. So, well, and what I mean by that process is going over the perimeter of the patch with the aerolite. And I wanted to make it as airtight as possible because obviously it holds water, so it has to be pretty strong. So mix up a little bit more, spread it around, make sure it's completely sealed, and yeah, it worked out pretty well. So getting stuck into painting the inner guards, this is just a Resto protective enamel, and for the prep work, basically I just got some Prepsol and some Scotch-Brite, and I basically cleaned it all up with the Prepsol and Scotch-Brite, so Scotch-Briting under the guard, Prepsol is the lubricant. And hey, I've actually done this to another car and it's stuck on pretty well. Even unprepped areas, this Rust-Oleum paint will stick fairly well, so fingers crossed, and where it is in the inner guard, it shouldn't chip off and look ugly, and if it does, I'll just recoat it. It doesn't really bother me. Another one of my little jobs was to just put a bit of black on this rebuilt tail shaft, and hey, that looks good enough for what it is. So there's a bit of a look at the handiwork underneath, and yeah, for the first time in a very long time this car's actually had working windscreen washer, squirty things. So hey, what's in my book? Look at that, bloody beautiful. No one could set sail in those waters. So we have it, the front wheel arch all finished off, that's the inner guard all fitted back together. Yeah, looking pretty tidy. Alright, so we're a little bit off hitting the road at the moment, but for the most part the detail work's done. Sorted out the wiper shit, cleaning up the wheels and tyres at the moment, sort of as I go. There's not really a whole lot to do on the body left. The interior is pretty tidy. I've already gone through the interior before I started making the video, but yeah, is what it is. Wheel arches are looking pretty good. This one looks a bit crap because it's got stone guard down on the chassis rail, but one over here on this side. I think that looks really good under there. So I'm happy with that for a almost 30-year-old shitbox. Obviously still got to clean up these two. Tail shaft, rebuilt this one. So this has got new center bearing, whatever this part is, velocity joint, that's brand new. Awesome job that was, putting all that together. Hopefully no vibrations. I marked it all out. I'm pretty sure I got it on the right spline and should be fine. Just need to get it under there, or get the other one out, get that one under there, get the car sorted out. Hopefully, fingers crossed, it's not raining when it comes time to road testing that, and after that should be happy days. Yeah, because these tyres have been sitting around for a little while, they've got a bit of shit sort of stuck in the old tyre shine. So I decided I'd get my carpet cleaning brush, which is the one that you just chuck on your drill. Yeah, bit of suds, scrub it on, wipe it off, and it looks pretty good again. I did end up putting a bit more tyre shine on these again, but obviously not when it was in the shed because it was where I paint, so I didn't want to do that. So that's the old tail shaft just there, and under here is where the new one went. So it looks a bit out of place, out of the rest of the floor pan, but pretty happy with it. So the weather ended up clearing up and I was able to put about 90 Ks on this one. Tail shaft didn't make a knock or a peep or a squeak or anything. Really happy with it. All came together pretty well. I mean, as it should. It's not rocket science to do something like that. But yeah, I was pretty happy with it. So back in the shed, ready to head off for another day for a bit more of a longer journey. Give the car a little bit more of a once over and time to hit the road, Jack. Now this is about the 5th time I've actually driven this car in the last 2.5 years, somewhere around that point, and hey, it was really good to get this thing out on the road. The weather was absolutely beautiful. Having gone from 19-inch wheels to 15-inch wheels made a hell of a difference to this thing. It drove absolutely awesome. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you again in the next one.